Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, how do you sneak up?
What's that?
I said, how do you sneak up?
You never know. Stealth.
Swift.
Welcome to the hearing, everyone. So let me say up front, we've got a lot to do today. So, dear colleagues, I was a council member too, remember? I would like to ask you, because a lot of people want to speak today and a lot of legislation, please do your best to respect a 2-minute time limit on your remarks so we can get through all of this expeditiously. Be deeply appreciated. The first 12 bills, you know when you say the first 12, we've got a lot to do, okay. The first 12 bills I'm signing today were given a public hearing on January 25th. And the first 6 of these bills will help us support the arts. Intros 1298, 1295A, 1296A, and 1297A strengthen the City of New York's Percent for Art program. Intro 865B requires reporting of certain data related to the Cultural Institutions Group. And Intro 1276B requires the Public Design Commission to conduct an annual report. The next 3 bills help ensure a safe and reliable commuter van industry. Intros 860A, 570A, and 861A amend commuter van license requirements and increase penalties for unlicensed drivers. We have 3 remaining bills to sign that were already given hearings. Intro 1281 requires the evaluation of the City of New York's economic development tax expenditures. Intro 1371 increases the amount the Dumbo Business Improvement District can spend annually. And Intro 1052A requires city agencies to erase all data and information when disposing of electronics. I want to thank Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, Cultural Affairs Commissioner Tom Finkelpearl, Public Design Commission Executive Director Justin Moore, TLC Commissioner Mira Joshi, Finance Commissioner Jacques Jiha, EDC President James Patchett, Small Business Commissioner Greg Bishop, and Do It Commissioner Ann Roast, as well as Council Member Steve Levin. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the Majority Leader of the Council, Jimmy Van Bramer, and Chair of the Cultural Affairs Committee, and sponsor of 1290A, 1295A, 1296A, 1297A, 865B, and 1276B. Where do you find the time, Councilmember?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I want to thank and congratulate my colleague, Councilmember Cumbo. We presented this package together, and I'm not sure if you're aware, but this is the largest cultural package ever to be passed by the New York City Council. Wow. And to be signed into law. Historic day indeed, and at a time when the arts are threatened in Washington, D.C., it's more important than ever that we affirm our support for the arts and invest in the arts. I know something we all feel strongly about. These bills, as you mentioned, require greater transparency and reporting from the Art Commission and the Cultural Institutions Group, and we are, after 35 years, for the first time expanding the Percent for Art program, an amazing program that has literally changed the face of our city, making it more beautiful, but also creating dialogue and creating democratic spaces in every neighborhood in the city of New York. And it is very timely because without art, what kind of future are we fighting for in this city and in this nation? So I want to thank everyone who's had a hand in working on these bills, Commissioner Finkelpearl and Justin Garrett Moore, who is doing a great job, and want to say that we are very appreciative of all of the staff who worked on this incredibly important package, and want to recognize the Speaker and the entire Council and you, Mr. Mayor, because we have seen record investment in the arts over the last several years, something we all should be very proud of. Lastly, I want to recognize my staff, my Chief of Staff, Matt Wallace, my Deputy Chief of Staff and Legislative and Budget Director, Andres Villa, and the entire team from my office for hand in doing this, and I made 2 minutes.
Wow. Wow. That's almost frighteningly accurate. I'm impressed. Well done, Councilman. You are a model citizen today. Let's see. A little pressure on. Yes, there's pressure on everyone now. And now the next contestant, the sponsor of Intros 1298, 1295A, 1296A, and 1297A, Councilmember Lori Cumbo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll jump right into it. Protocol has been established. I am excited. This is a package of legislation that Councilmember Jimmy Van Bramer and I have been working on for 3 years, and it really goes to the importance of why so many different voices are important in the City Council. After 35 years, the Percent for Art program has not received any major expansion to the program. And during that time, nearly 300 projects have been completed with accumulated artwork commissions of over $41 million. 70 new projects are currently in progress. Just to get to the numbers, through the enactment of this legislative package, the expenditure for works of art for any capital project will increase from $400,000 to $900,000, and the expenditures for work of art in any fiscal year will increase from $1.5 million to $4 million. This is critical. This is going to be an opportunity for us to continue to preserve our legacy, our challenges, our triumphs, our ideals, and what makes New York City as unique as it is today. Public art has the ability to let us know who we are as a people, what we have fought for, and what we are striving towards. This unprecedented increase in the program's 35-year history is monumentous and an incredible victory for our city. And just in closing, with the looming threat of cuts to national arts funding, we cannot undervalue the impact of arts education, programming, and research within our cultural institutions, community-based organizations, and schools. Despite a combined budget of $741 billion, the National Endowment for the Arts, it only comes to 0.02% of last year's federal budget. Today, we are making history in New York City that will reverberate all throughout the nation. I want to thank Mayor Bill de Blasio. I want to thank Monica Aben, my Chief of Staff, Commissioner Tom Finkelpearl, and the entire DCLA staff. Thank you.
Well done. All right, the pressure's now on Councilmember Danique Miller. 2 exemplary performances precede you, sir. Sponsor of intros 860A and 861A, Danique Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So for more than 2 decades now in my professional career, I have worked on this reform package of the commuter van industry, an industry that was born out of lack of services in many communities throughout the city from the MTA. And this industry has often gone unregulated, unsafe, and inaccessible to many in the community. Also, at times, it has become the biggest affront to Vision Zero that we have seen. I am glad to have continually worked across the aisle with my colleague here, Jumaane Williams, and many others to reform this. Intro 861 will increase the penalties for those operating outside of the industry, outside the law and outside the industry. 860 will study a lot of what has happened. It will study safety, it will study accessibility, it will also address the need. And so we will certainly continue to work on this and industry and bring the industry into the forefront and out of the darkness and give the people of Southeast Queens and other communities the service that they deserve. I again like to thank Councilmember Williams. I'd like to thank Councilmember Richards, my partner who worked on this in the community. My predecessor, Senator Leroy Comrie, the members and the leadership of the Amalgamated Transit Union, Community Boards 12 and 13, and also Hector Richtix and Queens Van. We've come a long way, and I really appreciate the support. Also, Commissioner Yossi and TLC for the work that they have done. It's been a long time coming. We have a lot of work to do, but this is a first step, and I thank you for all the support and resources that have gone into it.
Thank you. You have beaten the competition, Councilmember.
Stepped it up, stepped it up.
You know, we thought when Jimmy Van Bramer started so strong, but now there's a new hero. Now, my pleasure to introduce the sponsor of Intro 570A, Councilmember Jumaane Williams.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I got to figure out what cross the aisle means. I wasn't sure. But
You know we were on different sides, man.
I do want to first thank Councilmember Danique Miller, because as he mentioned, we were not always on the same page when it comes to these pieces of legislation. But we worked out a package that I think makes sense and is fair. It provides what all of us wanted around this issue, which is helping to increase enforcement on the bad actors and actually some of the actors that have no insurance, that have not associated with the city at all. We want to do whatever we can to get them off of the road. And so with these bills, we also ask and request for additional police presence in assisting the TOC in doing that. My bill in particular helps pull the commuter van industry out of the shadows. It is an industry that this city has gone to on multiple occasions when there was no other transportation, whether it was a snowstorm or a blackout. But after that, they went back to treating them very unfortunately. And so I'm very proud of what we're doing today. Mr. Mayor, I know these bills might not make the front pages, but I want you to know how instrumental this actually is to this industry. And in this day and time, to have industry that was built by immigrants, and they have seen other companies like Uber and Lyft come in and start to get headway, and they want to make sure that they were here and to feel the love that they've given to the city. And we've done that here today. We've given them a pathway to do this legally and to provide for their families, so I'm very much appreciative of that. My bill eliminates the 6-year renewal, eliminates the requirement for petitions, eliminates requirement to maintain records of prearrangement. I do need to shout out Leroy, who's in the back over there, Marcin, a bunch of Brooklyn Van Drymers, Hector Ricketts from Queens, Councilman Miller, Councilman Kellos, cool, Richards, former Senator Comrie, Nick Smith, whose birthday today, this is his birthday, my Deputy Chief of Staff, TOC, the DOT, and I want to give a shout out to former Council Member Una Clark, who was on this issue long before I was here. Thank you.
Well done. Well done. All right. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the Chair of the Transportation Committee, Councilmember Adonis Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I think that this is another way of how we address the issue of congestions in New York City. As you mentioned in the State of the City, you are going to be working with the whole leadership to come out with new ideas of how we address the important issues that affect our city, and this is another one that is important. Thank you to you, and thank you to my colleagues, Speaker Melissa Margarito and Council Members Williams and Miller, for your leadership on this important transportation issue. Dollar Bonds presents a unique solution to a persistent problem in part of our city, especially Southeast Queens and Central Brooklyn. In this area, there isn't always quality transit service, so small businesses have moved in to fill the gaps. Many of these commuter van companies have done well, expanding the business while serving their local communities with needed service. On the whole, they are safe and reliable options, and that's why, in addition to taking a closer look into this industry, we are hoping to ease some of these regulatory hurdles in their interaction with the city, making it easier to succeed. At the same time, we know there are some drivers that have sought to operate outside of the law. They often drive erratically as they seek to escape enforcement, putting pedestrians and other street users at risk. This is why I'm proud to say that we passed legislation through the Transportation Committee to crack down on illegal operators, and I'm glad that the mayor is signing this legislation today. We must always do more to close the transit deserts scattered across the 5 boroughs. Of course, this takes time and money. In the meantime, we need to be sure that people living in the community across the city have access to safe and efficient transportation. Dollar bonds are undervalued part of this equation, and this legislation supports this industry become more familiar with New Yorkers and also at City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, the Chair of the Committee on Finance and sponsor of intros 1281A and 1371, Councilmember Jalissa Ferreras Copeland.
Thank you. I'd like to start by thanking the Task Force on Economic Development Tax Expenditures for all their hard work and contributions. Members Michael Dardia, Hector Figueroa, Marilyn Marks Rubin, Marvin Marcus, James Parrott, Seth Pinsky, Michael Simas, Javier Valdez, and my fellow council member Dan Garodnik. Also, I'd like to thank the council's central staff who worked tirelessly on this task force and this piece of legislation. Dr. Ray Majeski, Latanya McKinney, Maria Nache, Emra Ediv, Paul Strum, Rebecca Chasen, Eric Bernstein, Smita Demishka, and Rob Newman. Together, we developed a process for evaluating the effectiveness of the city's economic tax expenditures valued at $8 billion. And we are the first municipality in the nation to take the reins and implement such a process. Tax breaks are a powerful tool within our city's economy. In this case, they have the potential to create jobs and drive investments. However, until now, we have been limited in our ability to measure how well these tax expenditures have fared at achieving their goal. The council will work with the Independent Budget Office to provide guidance on what is to be reviewed and which tax breaks it's supposed to accomplish. IBO's involvement helps ensure evaluation is done in a nonpartisan and professional manner. This bill will provide the council oversight of these programs, help lawmakers make better and understand impacts on their tax breaks, and help guarantee that the public is getting the best bang for its buck. Lastly, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for signing this bill today, and I think I beat the clock.
Wow. Wow, drop the mic. Wait, council member, there's still one more contestant. As we saw recently in the Super Bowl, it's not over until the
Till it's
very
over, you're right.
Chair of the Committee on Technology and sponsor of Intro 1052A, council member James Vaca.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I better get going. Time waits for no one, as they say. But my bill that's before you today would codify a city policy to ensure that all data is erased from city electronic instruments when disposed of. Additionally, it would require the deletion of data when electronics are transferred from one agency to another. We all know that data breaches can be very serious today, and we're always talking about making sure that our systems are always secure. So we work very diligently with DeWitt and Commissioner Roast and the Mayor's office and the Speaker's office to make sure that this bill became a reality, because in 2015, there were 979 data breaches in New York State that affected over 5 million people. So DeWitt created a policy that addresses security, and this bill codifies that policy, but it then goes a step further because it would expand the definition of disposed to include equipment transfers from one agency to another. Some agencies deal with more sensitive data than others, and this bill ensures that data stays where it is supposed to be within the city bureaucracy. So with that said, I thank you, Mr. Mayor, and your staff, and
All
I
right.
hope you will sign it. Okay?
I think
I beat it?
we've
Okay.
all learned a valuable lesson today. That's why they play all 9 innings, right? All right. Excellent. We are now going to sign all 12 pieces of legislation and a statement related to the bid. Everyone gather round. Cultural affairs first.
There you go. Let's get Gloria up here. Get all hard and carry it. Come on.
Present.
Oh, I'm like enamored.
Start with 3.
Healthy competition. Healthy competition.
First is for Councilmember Van Bramer. Let's start 3 each for the next 5 bills.
3 each for the next 5 bills. Just like an SAT program. There we go.
You need it.
All right. Well done. Well done. All right. And the other 2, you're right. I have 2.
Yeah, for the people behind.
All to you. Give this. There's so many bills to go around. There's lots of bills. Let me tell you. Okay, here's you again. I just want to say say for the record, you can actually read my signature unlike other people. Doing signings lately. Actually take out the letters, just wanted to note that. It's a little commentary.
Mayor Bramer is bronze. Councilmember Cumbo. Just hold on to it. That's for Councilmember Cumbo.
Each letter very distinct.
Thank you.
Having fun with Carmen. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. All right, and now it's your turn. Three?
Three is good.
Three good? You want more? Three good? Let's, okay, we have to do initial handshake again, because this is your bill.
That's
Well
right.
done.
Thank you very much.
Well
Thank you
done.
very much. Councilmember Van Bramer.
What's that?
He's co-prime, they're all, they're co-prime, so you should get
Package
it.
what?
Yeah, Councilmember Van Bramer, yes.
And it's you. It's you.
Beautiful. And then one for Van, Councilmember Van Bramer.
But wait, another Florida bill.
Yet another.
You are a legislative machine.
That's right.
That's right. That's a quote. You can use that quote.
I can use that.
Legislative machine. She never stops.
That one too. That's it. So now we have the computer man.
All right, well done.
Thank you. Yeah, computer man, if anyone's here for the computer man.
It's a different one.
I'll give them all to me, please. Three. Wait, you give one to Hector and one to Leroy. They each get one? Well done, well done. All right. Okay, so. You're getting one, you're getting one. Okay. Okay. It is an honor, my friend. Many years. Well done. All right. Thank you, sir. All right, now, one more. You're still on Miller, this is the last one.
No.
Because you have two.
Oh, we do have to, yes.
So wait, 860 and 861.
You are right. You want his second one to go next?
Yeah.
Wow.
Humility.
All right, there's that one. Well done, sir. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. Okay, now me.
2.
You call whatever you want. 3. You can do it. Two.
And Councilmember Wong.
8 it is. Well done. Well done. In the middle of a lot of things lately. Good Last one. Good. One more.
Thank you, sir.
Well done.
They do know the next one, Bill says.
Yeah, the ballot ban can go back down. They want to feel fun on this? Yeah, absolutely. You stand up. Hold on. Hold on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Way down and go. Good?
Councilmember Boggs.
Oh, get out of here.
You can stay.
Team.
How many do you need?
How many? 3. Hold them and there you go. But you have to stand. There you return the favor for Charlie. Stand here. How many would you like? Yes. 5 for each. You got it. Five in total.
So 3 and 2.
3 and 2, and then on the bid extension, you only need 1.
We have a couple members here.
Come on up. Come on up. Well, on your go.
Okay, so let's do 3 on the first and then 6 on the next.
3, 6, and on the statement, there's 1 or more.
We've got our notary here.
That's 1. I'm going to do 1 unless you tell me otherwise. 3, 6, 1. Okay, here we go. That's right.
Is that all yours? Yeah. Got everyone's attention. You said you need one more, or you need anything else? One more? Just one. This is much better than executive order. You're watching.
Okay, 3/4 houses.
And no, we've done all this stuff. We've done all that. We're resetting now. There's more reading to do.
Right, no, I meant for the council members.
Is this it? This is three, oh yeah, 3/4 had a lot, but you don't got a lot of members. Oh, you know why? Because the last time was it the snowstorm? Yeah. Okay. Well, you had to postpone last minute.
Okay, here we go. Now, we will discuss several bills that recently were passed by the City Council and which I have not yet heard public comment on. Intros, 1164A, 1166A, 1167A, 1168A, and 1171A. Extend vital protections to tenants and increase transparency for the 3/4 Housing Task Force. This legislation will help to ensure the rights of our most vulnerable are protected. I want to thank Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, Social Services Commissioner Steve Banks, HPD Commissioner Maria Torres Springer, Councilmember Steve Levin, and Councilmember Richie Torres. And now I'd like to introduce the Chair of the Committee on Housing and Buildings and sponsor of Intro 1171A, Councilmember Jimani Williams.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just in broad strokes, this is a great example of what happens when our institutions are working and clicking. There was on the media side, the New York Times in particular did great stories on the problems with this. On the advocacy side, we see all of the tenants and on the advocacy groups that really help push what needed to be done. And then on the legislative side, the council got together, listened to everyone, and got a great package of legislation to assist those who were the most vulnerable and unfortunately were being taken advantage of. And we're signing this package of 6 bills. 3 of them were under my committee in Housing Buildings. 3 were under the Committee General Welfare, Steve Levin. My bill in particular expands the list of acceptable documentation that will be sufficient to show proof of occupancy in order to receive relocation services at 3/4 houses. The bill helps prevent the eviction of residents for not being able to prove tenancy. Some of these tenants were being forced into services they didn't need and being erroneously evicted without recourse. And the housing crisis that the city has made the doors open for even more unscrupulous people. So we should be excited about what's happened today. And we crafted it so that we had to be careful not to take away critical housing that was needed, but providing the protections so people were not taken advantage of. And I want to thank Councilmember Levin, Councilmember Torres, Councilmember Johnson, Councilmember Richards, staff Megan Chang, Guillermo Patino, Jose Conde, Sarah Gastelum, Laura Pope, Matt Gawab, Jeff Baker, Ed Atkin, Jen Wilcox, and again, Nick Smith from my staff for all this hard work. Shout out to TOP, Vocal, everybody for really pushing us in the right direction. This is just a great example of all institutions working. Thank you for getting ready to sign this legislation.
Thank you very much. I want to also take a moment to thank the sponsor of Intro 1164A, Councilmember Corey Johnson. And now I want to introduce the sponsor of Intro 1166A, Councilmember Donovan Richards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm proud to be here along with my colleague, Councilmember Williams. to sign a three-quarter housing package into law. My bill, Intro 1166, requires the city to submit quarterly reports on the number of violations issued, the number of beds at each building inspected, the number of rent payments stopped, and the number of people relocated from a three-quarters residence. Packing vulnerable New Yorkers in small rooms is an abomination. And the existence of these houses says that we need to do a lot more as a city and a state to ensure that they have a safe and secure place to lay their head at night, and today we're making major strides in doing that. In 2015, Kim Barker brought this issue to light in a New York Times piece about Yuri Bomblet, I hope I said his last name right, or her last name right, the landlord who forced tenants to relapse and enroll in outpatient Medicaid programs he received kickbacks from in order to keep a bed. Horace Bush was one of those tenants trying to turn his life around before he was given the option to relapse or go back out on the streets. Here's a highlight of a quick passage from the Times article that highlights his struggle. Mr. Bush, rail thin, with sad eyes, wanted to avoid the streets and homeless shelters at all costs. He turned to his self-medication of choice, beer with a chase of heroin and crack cocaine. Then he enrolled in a new program chosen by Mr. Bomblet. These living conditions are not the productive environments that these New Yorkers need to help them to transition into a stable lifestyle. Landlords need to be held accountable, and we need to step up as a city, as we are today, to ensure that these government benefits are not exploited for personal benefit. I'd like to thank Andrea Vasquez and our legislative division, my legislative director, Jordan Gibbons, and also Ms.
You're doing good.
Camille, sorry, my legislative intern from Paris, NYF Legal Services, the Three-Quarter Houses Coalition, Kim Barker from the Times, and all of the advocates who helped us keep the focus on these New Yorkers who are forced to endure these despicable living conditions. Sorry for having a senior moment.
It's all right, you're lying. Thank you, Councilman. I thought a senior moment was good because seniors are good. Right?
I'm aging.
We now have one person signed up for public testimony, Corey Bates of TOP and Vocal New York. Please step forward to the microphone.
Right here.
Sorry, Margaret. Jeez.
You got in trouble there.
Oh. Grounded tonight, apparently.
Okay. I hope this don't take away from 2 minutes.
No, we're going to give you your full
Adjust
2
the mic.
minutes.
Okay.
Donovan Richards' mistakes will not be held against him.
Well, I'm gonna just make this short and sweet. My name is Corey Bates. I am one of the top members and vocal members. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous. But I want to thank you, Mayor de Blasio, the other council members to, come together, put your heads together and, make things happen. I don't know if Kim Barker is in the audience. If she is, I don't know where she is. I don't think she's in the audience. But anyway, all right, so get to the crux of what I'm talking about. Kim Barker and the New York Times have written an article on my life as far as at Yuri Bomblet's house. He's one of the operators that he had talked about in the article. And it was just a horrible time going through memory lapse because I'm just thinking about it right now. But Bill 1168 is extremely important. It basically helped us not be able to have to go to a mandated program in order to find suitable housing, because that's what we were going through. A lot of us weren't able to finish our schooling. Some of us was from different socioeconomic backgrounds. We all got together, put our heads together, and basically brought the issue up front. Great members and council members had logged on to it, and it came into fruition. So I just want to thank you once again. I'm gonna go by the names. I want to thank Councilmember Torres, Johnson, Levin, Williams, Richards, Public Advocate Tish James, and lastly you, Mayor de Blasio. Thank you very much. I have 15 seconds left. All right, so now I'm a little bit more comfortable.
You're doing good. You're doing good.
Now I'm a bit more comfortable. But in closing, I want to thank you all. And though we were living through perilous times, this is a good look for news stations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your good work in helping us get to this day. All right, we're ready to sign the bills.
Jonathan, let's do two.
Let's put that back. Let's do Jonathan first. He wants to come up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Come on up. Right out.
Come on up. We can spread it out too.
Come to this side. Councilmember Richards has the first two bills, so say,
All right. I'm going to take
with eight each.
8. I'm going to take a point for those bills. First one, I want to thank you. You got up there, spoken to. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. All right. Councilman Wilbur. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. For Jemani's.
You need eight, okay.
Did everybody get that?
Yeah, just pass it.
I'm not passing it up.
Okay, you're not passing any back, so let's.
What's happening?
You
Get the eight.
You get it. I like that.
But we have other bills.
We have other bills.
We'll pass the other bill.
You want to do 8 on this?
Yeah.
We're doing 8. Got a plan. Well done.
We're gonna pass on this one.
Yes, you do that. Need one more? There you go. Okay. All right, now, got Councilmember Johnson's bill. I want to make sure
Richards
everyone.
has one more. You have another bill.
What do you got here?
You should.
No? Or Richie. I think well, Richie. Oh, you counted those. Okay, Richie.
Richie did. I did.
So
All right,
let's,
you did code, Richie. So let's bring these two up. So we have the 2 that are led by you and Councilman Torres.
let's do
And we
10.
want to make sure everyone gets a pen.
Let's
So
do
10. 10 each.
10 on the first. Okay.
10 on the first. One.
Pass it. This side, Councilmember Richards on this side.
All right, and the next one also Torres Richards.
Okay. Let's do 4.
4. You need one for, you need 8 for Richard?
Yeah, I'm including that.
All right, so you want that many.
Take one first. Oh, you have one for nothing. We're gonna take it too. Great. Okay.
Okay, so this is the second one for Ricky. Who's got it? Oh, no? Yeah, this big picture. All right, now for Councilmember Johnson's bill.
Let's do two.
Two, is everyone back here got a pen?
Yes.
All the good, hard-working people who got us to this day?
Yes.
Yep. All right. Don't be shy. All right, does anyone else not have a pen? Did you last? I hear a voice. Okay, and then this is going to be the last one. I'd like you to- This one for you, for Chuck. Okay, my very last call. All the vocal members, everyone got one? Be vocal. Be vocal. Top members get them? All right, we're going in now for make it all legal. And all these bills are now law. Go. Okay. See everybody? And get where you can be seen. All right, doing good? All right, thanks everyone. Thank you. Well done.
Now we're doing
Thank you so much. Keep an eye on the rate. New ones are up. Yeah, a little bit more. Be well. Thank you. All right, how you been, man? How's it going? Good. Thanks for being a part of this. Thank you.
Sorry, could I get one more call?
Sure, sure. What do you need? What do you need?
Just
Come
a
on.
picture,
Come on. Who's
because
got
you
camera?
did
Who's
such
got
a
camera?
wonderful job.
Who's got camera?
And anybody say anything
We need
about
someone
you?
with it. There you go. There you go.
Anybody say anything about you? I'm going to be in a defense.
That's good. I appreciate that. You take care.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay, now we have two bills that will allow more seniors and people with disabilities to afford their rent and stay in the neighborhoods they love. Intro 1309 extends the income eligibility increase for the city's rent freeze program, the Senior Citizen and Disability Rent Increase Exemptions, called SCREE and DREE, through 2020. And Intro 1024A requires certain city agencies to distribute information about the rent freeze program to eligible New Yorkers. I want to thank Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, Finance Commissioner Jacques Jiha, Aging Commissioner Donna Corrado, Councilmember Andy Cohen, the Chair of the Committee on Mental Health and Disability Services, and now introduce the Chair of the Committee on Aging and sponsor of Intro 1309, Councilmember Margaret Chin.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. Today, Mayor, you will sign a bill
Yes, I
that
will.
will extend
That was an order.
the New York City rent freeze program to allow seniors and people with disability to stay in the neighborhoods that they help build. As the affordability crisis deepens throughout New York City, I commend you, Mayor, for your recent announcement to create the Elder Rent Assistance Program to allow deeper affordability for almost 25,000 seniors. And your announcement about another 5,000 units of senior housing.
Amen.
However, we will still need every tool available to keep homes affordable and to keep the most vulnerable New Yorkers in their homes. The New York City Rent Freeze Program, also known as SCREE and DREE, allows certain seniors and people with disability in rent-regulated housing to freeze their rent. Intro 1309 will extend these benefits to the year 2020, allowing vulnerable New Yorkers to afford their homes, stay in their neighborhoods, and make it through this affordability crisis. First, I want to thank you, Mayor, for your partnership with us on this bill. Also wanted to thank Councilmember Cohen, our Councilmember Julissa Ferris Copeland, and our Speaker, Melissa Mark Viverito, for their support. Lastly, I also want to thank our staffs, Ramon Martinez, Alex Polinov, Emily Rooney, and Doheny Sapura, and also my legislative director, Vincent Fang, for their hard work on this legislation. But I also want to thank your Department of Finance, their staff, for working with us to really reach out and let people know about SCREE and DREE program, the rent freeze program of New York City.
Well said. Thank you very much, Councilmember. Now, my pleasure to introduce the sponsor of Intro 1024A, Councilmember Fernando Cabrera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do I get an extra pen for breaking the time record?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here we go. Intro 1024A requires relevant city agencies to work with the Department of Finance to disseminate information about senior citizen rent increase extension program known as SCREE to individuals aged 60 and older, along with the agency's application and forms for its own services. Also, where possible, this information will be provided in the same languages as the agency's usual printed information. This law will help many more seniors to remain in their homes by reaching more people with critical information about SCREE. Very happy to have sponsored this legislation so that our seniors can live more stable lives. I want to thank and acknowledge our speaker, our council member Margaret Chin, chair of the Committee of Aging, Alex Polinoff, Legislative Counsel, Jonathan Silser in Finance, and all the staff for the great work on this important bill. And I get an extra pen.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You've earned it. Well done. I also want to just take a moment to thank the chair of the Committee on Finance, Julissa Ferreras Copeland. And now we are ready to sign the bills. Absolutely. All the hard work of the folks. All right, you're up first. You get whatever you want. Get an extra. Okay.
Four.
5. 5.
Plus one.
I figured that out. Well done. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
The best looking pens ever.
These pens are definitely a step
You're
forward.
not just been looking, the pen's really,
These are quality pens.
that's right, it's quality.
They're not just superficial, they're quality pens. All right. Councilmember, how many pens have you? Because whatever number you say I will do, this is my relationship with Margaret. Whatever she says, I will do.
You will take the time.
I think we're 9 right altogether,
9?
including people standing.
9 total.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you again.
Well done.
I love the signing. I just wanted to remind you, this is the year of the senior,
Yes,
and we wanted to reflect on the budget.
I think I've heard that somewhere. I think I heard it from you, in fact.
I'm looking forward to the executive budget.
I hope you appreciate the numerous items that have occurred lately on behalf of you.
Oh, yes, because it's the year of the senior, and I'm really happy with all these announcements, and we support your mansion tax.
Excellent. Let our friends in Albany know. I know you're not shy. Shyness has never been a problem.
I have to make up for my size.
That's right. All right, one more right there. What do you got?
I think that's enough.
You sure?
Yes.
You got everyone covered?
Yes.
Okay. These bills are now on. Congratulations. Well done. That's for last one. That's positive. There you go. Thank you. Oh, thank you, man.
I really love it. It felt
Really?
like it came from the heart.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, just when you first started, you said, I'm gonna do things differently. I was like engaged at that moment.
There's a lot to be said for it. A lot to be said for it. All right, so you're representing Dan.
Yes.
But I cannot tell. I need a reminder on your name so I can properly acknowledge you.
Robert Burns.
There you go.
I'm the chief fire marshal.
There you go. I want the record to show.
We have met a couple of
Yes,
times.
we have. Usually under difficult circumstances, supermarkets and some retail stores to correct first-time price labeling violations before having to pay civil penalties. And Intro 1294A requires the FDNY to report annually on the use and type of smoke detectors and smoke alarms in fire-related deaths. Want to thank Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, our Chief Fire Marshal Robert Burns, FDNY, thank you. Commissioner for Consumer Affairs Lorelei Salas, Councilmember Elizabeth Crowley, the sponsor of 1294A and chair of the Committee on Fire and Criminal Justice. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the chair of the Committee on Consumer Affairs and sponsor of Intro 436A, Councilmember Rafael Espinal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This bill is actually in line with your legacy in reducing the fines on businesses in the city. In the 1990s, the City Council passed an original item pricing bill that was intended to protect consumers by making food pricing so clear that supermarkets cannot trick customers or overcharge for their products. But over the years, given the tough business climate in our city, certain fines and violations have become burdensome on businesses, especially on those small businesses that run on small margins of profit. For years, well-intentioned food retailers and supermarkets were receiving fines of up to $2,000 for simple human or mechanical errors in labeling items, even if it was their first offense. So I'm proud that today we are striking an important balance between protecting consumers while at the same time easing the burden on our businesses so that they may thrive and continue to provide the jobs and services we need every day. This law will allow businesses to cure certain item pricing violations rather than receive a monetary penalty for first-time offenses. Small violations like not having a label on all items in a SKU will now be open for supermarkets to cure over a period of 30 days rather than receive a fine without any ability to fix the error. There are over 5,000 supermarkets and grocery stores across the 5 boroughs, which employ over 60,000 employees. I'm happy that today we're making it a little easier to conduct business for these employers. I thank the mayor for his support and signature today.
Well done.
Thank you.
You may have set the ultimate record of the day
There
right
you go,
there.
50 seconds
Okay,
left.
well done. Well done. Just a few words in Spanish to summarize everything that we have done today before I sign these last bills. Estoy firmando 21 leyes locales, incluyendo 12 para las que tuvimos audiencias el mes pasado. Las otras ayudan a más ancianos y personas con discapacidades a congelar sus alquileres, extienden medidas de protección esenciales para inquilinos vulnerables, alivian la carga financiera de nuestros comercios y mejoran el sistema de información sobre alarmas de humo y detectores de incendios. And with that, we will now sign the last 2 pieces of legislation. All right. You can be his bookend. All right. We have Councilmember Espinal. How many?
I'll take 3.
3.
I'm not greedy.
That's okay.
like give one to the chief,
Yep.
so should I do 4 or 3?
3 is good.
3 is good. You will take the other 2?
Yes.
Okay. Chief, thank you for all you. Thank you very much. These bills are now law. Congratulations, everyone, and the hearing is complete. Good seeing you. Good seeing you all. I hope I don't speak for long. You take that in the right time. Yes, I do. Very good. Exactly. We'll make it for the next time. Thank you.